Hi, welcome back to Citizen Soldier. I'm Mike Viros. This is Greg Godwin. Today we're going to talk about a couple of different things. I think we've got a great show we're going to put together. First thing is a knife, close-in knife drill that we use. The primary objective is obviously we usually carry weapons, whether it be another blade or a gun, usually a handgun. But there's times in a scenario where you just don't have time to get your weapon out because the attack is imminent and it's right on top of you. So you have to have a skill set to evade that knife and then get to a position where you can draw your weapon and take care of business. So with that said, what we're going to do today is what we call a tappy drill. To keep things simple, we're going to use just basically 3 angles of attack. The number 1 angle is drawing and slashing across the throat this direction. Number 2 angle is coming down across this way. And 5 angle we're going to use is into the gut. Okay. When we don't want to stop the motion of the blade. And the reason we don't want to stop the motion of the blade because it'll get you in trouble. In other words, if I stop the motion of the blade, what happens here is he's able to change the direction of the blade and he can cut. It also stops his momentum where that other hand is easier to use, and then I can take a shot to the face. So my object is to keep that blade moving. And when I do that, if you watch how I'm hitting this, I'm coming with the backs of my wrist here, and I'm getting another hand on it right away, and then I'm checking, okay? Ideally, what I'm going to do is push off here, and I'm going to draw my weapon. But for the purpose of this drill, we're going to stay to the inside, and we want to get used to keeping him checked over. Look at my body structure here, nose over the hose, getting a good shot, okay? So number 1 angle is tap, 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 and strike, okay? So it's a simple exercise. Coming the other way. Number 2 angle, down, back of the wrist again. Why am I doing the back of the wrist? Because if he does decide to cut, he's not cutting where I'm going to bleed out, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that things are going to work right if he does cut me back here, but I know I'm not bleeding out, okay? Where I got to seek immediate attention, okay? So, let's go number 1 angle, tap, tap, push, okay? And we usually add a hit right here. Number 2, coming in, tap, and then we add a hit here or push onto that face. And the object again is here to get that space right away so that we can get the gun out and take care of business. And the number 5 angle is coming in, and I want to turn my body this way. Okay? So as it's coming, I can either go left hand first, right? And then if you notice, I'm getting other hands on it right away. This one is probably more realistic. People usually have a tendency to come right at you and they try to stick you in the gut. What you don't want to do is get into this with the sewing machine type motion. Here, you don't want to be involved in that. So what you want to do is you want to get to the outside of that. That's why you got to turn your body. So if you just do this, what's going to happen? Eventually he's going to stick you. Okay, and he's going to poke you. You're going to be a pincushion. All right. So what the object is that just coming here. Okay. So here's where I get I'm going to take a hit and push off and control his center and his base by pushing him off. Okay. So what this drill, just to go slow, looks like is I'm in here, pushing here. Okay. And it just keeps going because what you're doing is you're training your body to react to certain angles. Okay. Angles of attack. So if I am in here, and all of a sudden this guy pulls a blade and he goes to stick me in the gut, I'm coming off and I'm, depending on what I have on me, I'm either drawing another blade, cutting his throat, or I'm drawing my weapon, putting some shots on target, okay? So this is the tappy drill. It does take practice. It's not something that you're going to get right off the get-go. There is also some sensitivity stuff in here. There are a lot of other options in here that you can take. You start breaking arms. But But again, you got to be careful, because I've seen people, you know, they fumble around with their hands, or they don't push down with that coming across the gut, and they're taking it into the belly. So you got to push in, push off. Okay? That's very important. Same thing when it's coming into the gut. Push in, push off, get to your weapon. Okay? Now that we've done that, we'll just go through it real slow. Again, keep it up. See how we kind of practice these motions. Just training the body to react. And then he had another hand, so that's good. Okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to put a vest on, and we'll do it with, when I'm armed, and he'll show you a self-defense type practical application. Okay? Okay, welcome back. I got my vest on for concealed carry. Hey, this is what we're going to do. But I want to clarify something real quick. I said number 5 is number 5 angle of attack, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a thrust into the gut. So that's why I said that. So that it wasn't that we skipped 2 other. It's just that we're only using 1, 3, or 1, 2, and 5 for that drill. For right now, you can add all kinds of things to that drill, but to keep things simple off the get-go, that's where we're at. Today, we are going into a self-defense scenario where I'm going to be drawing a handgun against a knife. The knife, or the gun, is a distance superior weapon. So what I want to do is try to create that distance as soon as I can, especially in the initial part of the confrontation. That will allow me to draw my weapon and put shots on target. Now, there are some legal things that you need to think about with this, okay? Once I push him off, even though he had the knife, if he keeps going away from me, I'm not shooting. You got that? He's got to turn around and come back, okay? He's got to come back with the intent that he's going to do something with that blade. Then, you know, again, you have the right to defend yourself. And I advise you to check with your local laws in addition to your state laws on how that actually works in your situation. But for the most part, in most places, if the person has a lethal weapon and the intent to use it, and obviously if he's already tried to stab you once and he's coming back at you, you can definitely say that that individual had an intent, okay, to do bodily harm and get killed, and you were fearful for your life at that time. So, with that said, I just wanted to cover that because I'm not showing you to do something, and if you push somebody off and they just keep running away, especially after they see you draw that gun, don't shoot, okay? Do not shoot. All right, now that we discussed the tappy drill and the awesome acting job from Greg over here as far as his his dying routine, we're going to move on to what we call the sometimes referred to as the cow catcher. It's basically a simple movement. You can do it in several different directions. You're just looking for different handles. Okay, when I talk about handles, I'm talking about what I'm grabbing a hold of on my opponent. So if they have a gi on, it's one thing. If they have no shirt or just a t-shirt or something to that nature, you know, things change, positions change. You can never tell what's going to happen, but what you can do is work to certain handles and make things happen. And I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. Again, this is called the cow catcher, referred to as the cow catcher sumigaeshi in judo or jiu-jitsu. Taniatoshi to the rear. So there's a lot of variations, but basically it's the same movement. This technique is great for someone shooting in on your legs, or you're in a confrontation, this person's on top of you. We always use a swimming motion trying to capture that head because we have a firm belief that, you know, you want to bring that head down, drive knees, elbows as soon as possible. So in this scenario, what we're going to do is just kind of grab for the head, bring it down, and then swing this arm up underneath. Okay? And on this side, you see me grabbing his arm and I'm stretching out with that. Okay? So once I get that position, it kind of dictates what direction I'm going to go. Because in the dojo, I don't want him falling on his head. On the street, I don't care. All right, so for practice purposes, I recommend you go to the opposite side that you have the head. And that's usually the side that's going up underneath into the armpit this way. The other one's going over the top of the arm this way. All right. And he may be trying to wrap his arms around you at that time. It really doesn't matter because he's really helping you in the long run. Okay. So the next part of the movement is going heel to butt. Once I get set up in my position here, I'm just dropping, I'm going to my heel with my left foot and dropping to that butt cheek. Okay? And rolling. It's probably the easiest takedown you can do. Okay? So it goes heel to butt, heel, butt. Now, a common mistake is people try to bring the person over their face. And you don't want to do that. What you want to do is take them over your leg. So when I get into this position, now I'll go as slow as I can. I'm dropping, and I'm just pushing them over my leg, like that. Now I'm going to continue my motion, coming forward. So I end up in a dominant position on this guy. Okay, that's the forward one. That's more like the sumigash. You can add something to this. When you're down in here, this leg right here can kick up into that. Help bring them over. That's where it starts looking like a judo throw. Okay? Now, same technique to the rear. Let's say I get around behind and I'm in the back position behind. I get around behind when I'm doing this seatbelt hand control. Okay? Once I get this, that also determines which way I'm falling. And the reason being is because I want to wind him up like a top. So when I got this arm, I'm going to pull him this way so he spins this way. Okay? So as I come around, hand control. So now I'm going to spin that direction. So I go heel to butt. Heel, the butt. Now this one I'm going to drive, continue to drive, hands are down underneath him. And I got a good position, back off, dominate. Okay? I'm not interested in staying on the ground, although you could, but I don't know what the scenario is dictating. He's got buddies around. I highly recommend you don't stay on the ground. Okay, so again, I'm up in here, good. The fight started. I'm going to drag, come around behind, here, hit, stop. Keep the back pressure on. Come up, boom. Fight's over. For those that aren't used to falling and what have you, I recommend that you take a couple classes learning how to fall so that you can prepare yourself to take those hits. Although that is probably one of the easier falls that you'll ever take when it comes to actually throwing, as far as judo or jiu-jitsu throws. Okay, good way to practice this technique. You can do it from your knee position, and what we're going to do is we're going to get into a position where we're starting our initial grapple. We might have this position here, and I'm able to get over the top of him here. And a lot of times what happens is you want to push in so he starts pushing back. Okay, when he pushes back like that, what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to sit out here and take him over, and then you end up in a dominant position on top. Street fighting, you know, you've got a neck break right here, where you just come up in and bam, fold his chin to his chest. I let his head out. But that one, you know, or you can just take it to the point where he's choking or he's not breathing on that particular type of technique, but that's for another time. The simple movement, again, is you're in here trying to knock each other over, whatever, trying to sweep legs, what have you. Pull the head, snatch the head, grab, take them over your leg. Take the top position. Easy technique, works good for those that get into that sports stuff, but from a street fight, I'm coming back up regardless. I don't want to be on the ground, or on the ground as little as possible, okay? From a practicality standpoint. So, all right, appreciate it. Coming up, we got Matt Sims, so don't go nowhere. Great shooter. If you're from Alabama around here, you know who Matt Sims is. So please hang in there and see what he's got. All right? Thank you. Cool.